Scott in San Diego writes, Mike, I don't know how closely you followed the events of this past weekend when an event that Bernie attended was hijacked and shut down when he began to speak. Well, the truth is, I was busy over the weekend, got no information, no news, nothing. After watching CBS Sunday morning, that was it. Off went the TV, off went the radio. And I just heard about this today. Boy, talk about feeling out of it. Anyway, Scott goes on, the incident immediately raised suspicion about who or what was behind what occurred. I'm sure you recall a term that we learned back during Watergate. It's a rather colorful expression for political dirty tricks that are undertaken by an opponent to throw sand into the gears of a candidate's campaign machinery. The term is rat effing, only it's not effing. If you're old enough, you remember that term. That was what the Watergate plumbers, that was one of their favorite terms. Scott goes on, it's pretty clear to be about what happened to Bernie on Saturday. What remains less clear is who or what was behind it. The establishment media is reporting that it was done by Black Lives Matter activists, BLM activists. Some say it was the GOP. Others even feel that the Hillary Clinton campaign's fingerprints are all over it. The bottom line here is that Bernie was prevented from speaking. I hope you go into this on the show tonight. It looks like we're moving back into some of the very worst aspects of the bad old days. Yeah, well, I wrote back to Scott and said, yeah, I had planned on addressing this. And I guess the best starting point is the Hill, thehill.com. Protesters who claimed affiliation with BLM movement stormed the stage during a rally for Bernie Sanders in Seattle on Saturday, took over the microphone, forced Sanders to leave without ever speaking. Moments after Sanders took the stage at Westlake Park, 2 women and 1 man climbed the stage and confronted Sanders, demanding a chance to speak. After several moments of confusion and confrontation, an event organizer took the microphone and said the protesters would be allowed to speak before Sanders. Some in the crowd booed. One of these 3, who identified herself as Marissa Johnson, began by saying, quote, I was going to tell Bernie how racist this city is with all of its progressives, but you've already done that for me. Thank you, end quote. She spoke, among other things, about police violence in Seattle, mentioning a federal investigation into the city's law enforcement that resulted in the appointment of a monitor to make sure Seattle police were complying with the terms set forth by the Justice Department. Then she said, quote, Bernie says that he's all about the people and about grassroots. The biggest grassroots movement in this country right now is Black Lives Matter. She then mentioned the anniversary event that sparked the movement, the shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri last year. She requested 4.5 minutes of silence from the crowd to honor the 4.5 hours Brown allegedly lay dead in the street after being killed. Some of the crowd jeered the protesters and yelled, get off the stage, but others replied, let her talk. After the 4.5 minutes, protesters did not relinquish the stage. She continued, if you care about Black Lives Matter, as you say you do, you will hold Bernie Sanders specifically accountable for his actions, end quote. Now, at that point, I would have felt like, and I'm really going to piss off an awful lot of people now, but you know what? I don't give a rat's ass anymore. I don't care who I piss off. At that point, I would have wound up in jail because I would have mounted the stage and grabbed this woman by her arm and taken her off the stage. And then I would have been arrested for assault. I understand that. But I'm sick of this. You know, I'm really sick of this. The only candidate of any political party in America who would speak out, who has spoken out, who has busted his ass for justice and freedom for everybody is Bernie Sanders. And these thugs and punks and jackasses show up at this rally. Why don't you people go harass some of these goddamn Republicans? What's the matter? Are you afraid that if you appeared at a Republican rally, somebody would take a club to your head? Some white boy like me would jump up and pull you off the stage? To hell with you. To hell with you. I don't believe you represent Black Lives Matter anyway. I understand your frustration, but the one person on the political scene right now who can bring about change, and you're going to harass and interrupt and stop him, you know what you people are? You're a bunch of goddamn cowards. Go after somebody who's oppressing you. Bernie Sanders isn't.